Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to completely demystify the modern AI animation workflow of 2026. If you've ever wanted to take your ideas, your scripts, or even just your personal stories and turn them into fully animated, professional-looking visuals, well, you're in exactly the right place. We are way past the days of needing some massive Hollywood-style studio budget. Today, we're going to look at the precise visual architecture and the AI pipelines that make this all possible right now. To really get why this tech is so powerful, let's start with a visceral human memory. There's this author who recalls his very first day of school as a 3-year-old, and he writes, "I proceeded to clamp my hands around a nearby post. 'Why are you doing this?' I screamed as my mother and the bus driver worked together to pry me free." Now, reading those words, you can definitely feel that anxiety, right? But imagine actually seeing it. Imagine the vibrant materiality of animation just bringing that memory to life, the exaggerated grip on the post, the sheer panic in a cartoon kid's eyes. Animation uniquely enriches how we portray our lived experiences. It literally makes our stories feel alive. So, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover animating lived experiences, then blueprinting the visual script, solving AI character drift, the AI animation engine, the power of audio, and finally, your final production pipeline.
All right, let's dive right into Section 1, Animating Lived Experiences.
So, the core motivation for creators, educators, and authors today is taking personal, sometimes kind of abstract stories and turning them into a captivating medium that instantly hooks an audience. You know Etienne Jules Mouret's famous 1894 photograph sequence of a fallen cat? It brilliantly illustrates how we actually do this. This historical method breaks down movement into distinct chronological frames. It's essentially the architecture of movement. And guess what? Today's most effective AI animation relies on that exact same logic. We call it the hybrid keyframe approach. Instead of just crossing our fingers and asking an AI video generator to magically hallucinate a whole scene from a text prompt, we establish the keyframes first. Then, we let the AI fill in the motion. It gives us speed, absolutely, but more importantly, it gives us total control.
Moving on to Section 2, Blueprinting the Visual Script.
Okay, before you even think about touching any video generation tools, we have to talk about writing. A strong animation script isn't just about clever wording, it is a visual blueprint. You literally have to write for the eye, not the ear. According to Powtoon's framework, you must use concrete visual nouns. Let me show you what I mean. Think about the abstract idea, efficiency improves. An AI has no idea how to draw that. Now, contrast that with an explicit visual instruction. A cluttered screen becomes organized. See the difference? When you replace vague, high-level concepts with concrete actions, tools like Powtoon's AI scriptwriter can map out your scenes so much more accurately. Your script needs to describe exactly what the viewer is going to see on screen.
To keep that visual logic flowing naturally, you're going to want to build a predictable narrative blueprint. It goes like this. First, context. Quickly introduce who the character is and the exact problem they're facing. Next up is evidence. Present 2 to 3 visual milestones that can actually be animated in that scene. And finally, a directive. End with a specific next step or call to action. If your script follows this exact structure, the animation becomes a communication accelerator rather than a total production nightmare.
Let's jump to Section 3, Solving AI Character Drift.
So once your script is locked in, we inevitably hit the most notorious roadblock in AI generation, and that is character drift. You know the drill. In shot 1, your character's wearing a red coat, and by scene 5, they look like a completely different person. Well, we fixed this before we ever animate a single frame using an identity anchor. This is a massive conceptual breakthrough championed by platforms like Neolemon. Instead of prompting an AI video tool to just reinvent your character from scratch in every single clip, you lock their identity in once. You generate a complete set of expressions and poses beforehand, and then you feed those anchored frames into the video engines. Your character stays pixel perfect because the AI isn't guessing what they look like anymore. It's just adding motion to an existing, locked-in image.
To actually build this out properly, you need a very specific asset pack. Before generating any video, you should use a tool like Neolemon to create one clean, neutral hero frame to act as your reference. Then, generate 6 to 10 core poses, things like walking, pointing, or turning around. Next, grab 8 to 12 facial expressions, ranging from super happy to really worried. And finally, 2 to 3 reusable backgrounds. This entire pack essentially becomes your stable storyboard. And the speed of AI generation here is just incredible. You can build all these variations in a matter of seconds. It really allows you to step back and think like a true director, instead of just a prompt engineer.
Which brings us to Section 4, the AI animation engine.
All right, with our consistent keyframes in hand, it's time to transition from static images to actual cinematic motion. Now, the 2026 AI tool stack can feel pretty overwhelming at first glance, but you really just need to match the platform to your exact project needs. If you need broad control and you expect to iterate a bunch of times, Runway is your go-to. It's built for trying out multiple attempts at 2 to 6 second clips. If you want a really cinematic feel and a predictable way to extend your shots, Luma Dream Machine is fantastic for that. Now for sustained action, like a character running down a street for a long time, Kling AI is an absolute powerhouse. It offers up to 3-minute generations in 1080p straight from your phone. No way, right? For your absolute hero shots that demand top-tier physical realism, OpenAI Sora 2 is incredible, especially since it handles synchronized dialogue perfectly. And finally, if you're doing client work and need total copyright safety, Adobe Firefly is your best bet for brand-safe 5-second B-roll clips. So remember, you don't need one magic tool, you just need the right tool for the specific shot.
Next up, Section 5, the power of audio. Okay, let's get real for a second. Visuals are only half the experience. They get all the hype, sure, but audio? Audio is the actual atmosphere of your production. A viewer will absolutely tolerate imperfect video if the sound is compelling, but they will completely tune out of perfect animation if it sounds dead and lifeless. So, let's talk about pacing. Powtoon has this golden rule. You want to aim for 140 to 160 words per minute in your script. Why? Because you absolutely must leave enough negative space in your audio track for the motion to breathe and for the viewer to actually comprehend what's happening on screen.
To fill that negative space properly, you're going to need 4 essential audio elements. And thankfully, platforms like ElevenLabs make this incredibly easy today. First, you need professional voice acting or narration to really carry the emotion. Second, you need room tone and ambience. You know, the subtle hum of a kitchen or the quiet murmur of a forest, just to create presence. Third, you want to sprinkle in about 3 to 6 key sound effects per scene. Think footsteps or a door closing. This helps direct the viewer's attention. And finally, an emotional music bed to tie it all together. Adding these 4 elements is literally the fastest way to upgrade your footage from feeling like a silent tech demo into a vibrant professional film.
And that leads us to our final section, number 6, your final production pipeline.
So how do all these isolated concepts actually come together into a workflow you can use today? Well, here is your definitive 5-step pipeline, and it perfectly mirrors how a real professional studio operates. Step 1. Write a visually concrete script and use it to anchor your character's identity in a tool like Neolemon. Step 2. Build your asset pack of poses and expressions so you have a totally stable storyboard. Step 3. Take those static frames and animate them in your chosen AI video engine, whether that's Runway, Luma, or Kling. Step 4. Generate your voices, your room tone, and your sound effects using ElevenLabs. And Step 5. Drop it all into your favorite editor, CapCut, Premiere, whatever you prefer, just to clean up the cuts, dial in the music levels, and polish up the final piece. Guys, this pipeline is the secret to moving from endless, frustrating experimentation to actually shipping finished stories.
Creating animated stories used to require a massive team and a 6-figure budget. Today, it really just requires the right workflow. This technology has been completely democratized, and the exact pipeline you need is right here in front of you. The barriers to bringing your lived experiences in visual scripts to life are completely gone. So I'll leave you with this one question. What story will you tell? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I genuinely cannot wait to see what you create.